Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Ooh, sorry, guys. I had to be late because my session a while ago just extended. I just came from another 4 hour webinar. So thank you for joining us. And thank you for still sticking out and staying, hanging around and still watching this webinar, even if it's 15 minutes late. So I appreciate that. Welcome to part two of how to manage your visibility at work while working from home. This is a four-part session, and we've done our part one a few weeks back. I'm looking at the chat box right now. We got a very crazy chat box. So Emeline says, FINMA University of Pangasinan, hello. Camille says, hey, hi. Micah says, Jamaica Jane O from University of Pangasinan as well. Jody says, good afternoon. Miss Gina also says, good afternoon. Thank you for joining this session. Harleen Laping says, good afternoon. Jacqueline has tagged her friends as well. Thank you. N9 says, good afternoon, everyone. Alex, as usual, is there saying good afternoon from Duty Free Philippines. So thank you for joining our session. We continue to do this session because, as you may know, a lot of us in many countries around Asia are still in quarantine. The numbers are still high. And so we remain to be working from home. Hopefully not too long. I keep on saying that, but it seems like this is going to pan out until next year. Right? Do you think so, guys? Can I get an exclamation mark if you think that we're still going to be working from home, at least in the first half of next year? I think so as well. Hopefully, I don't want to be that pessimistic guy, but Delta's here. Lambda is still about to happen. I don't know if that's going to work out. Countries are now doing their booster shots. I hope you also do that at the same time. But nevertheless, regardless whether you're staying from home or working now in an office, your visibility remains to be important. Because visibility is part of showing not just your contributing, but your presence is felt, especially by decision makers who eventually are going to decide your career progression and also your promotion. So we're going to be continuing our discussion on managing your visibility while working from home. If you happen to miss out part one of this topic, fear not. You can scan the QR code or copy the link into your browser. Right? There you go. And also, I want to highlight that we want to thank the viewers who are watching this from LinkedIn and also YouTube. So we're building our community there, and this is not only available on Facebook Live, you can also watch this on LinkedIn and YouTube. Our YouTube channel is finally back. We've been absent for a month because I don't know why we got suspended for it. Perhaps someone who didn't like me had to report me for I don't know what I did. But we had to rebuild the channel again. So we're very happy that we're finally up again on YouTube. Okay. If you haven't yet given us a like or a heart, please do so. I'm looking at the like section. We only have 28 likes, guys. Come on. There are so many of you watching, but only 28 likes. I will appreciate if you give us more likes, more hearts. It's one thing that we will inspire to continue and do these webinars for free. Thank you. Now I see some numbers up. Very good. Thank you. All right. So this is our company, JY Consultancy and Ventures Group. We specialize in helping organizations propel their teams to success. We conduct sessions on digital marketing. We conduct sessions on partnerships with public speaking, business writing, motivation, leadership, and the like. And if you're interested to invite us for a private session, you can send us an email, jonathanyabut@gmail.com. We'll be very happy to share with you our topics. If you'd like to watch a sample of our past webinars, you can scan the QR code. You can also copy the link into your browser, right? And they're all 100% for you to watch. Okay. If you'd like to get an optional certificate after this session, you can also claim it by scanning the QR code right in front of you, or take a photo, take a screenshot, look at the link, bit.ly/claimcert, and you'll be able to claim those certificates. Okay. I also want to highlight that today and tomorrow are the last 2 days of our sale on Lazada and Shopee. So it's our 9/9 super sale. Buy 3 books, you get those books, and on top of it, you also get 1 free ticket to our upcoming webinar on October 2, email etiquette and business writing. So this, by the way, is a 499 peso value. So it's like you already enrolled to our webinar and you're just adding 100 pesos and you got the books on top of it. right? So that's a steal. So please don't forget, you only have until tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. on September 16 to catch the deal. I hope you take advantage of it. Okay. So I am also going to be giving away some tickets for today. Today, we're going to give away two tickets to email etiquette and business writing happening on October 2. It's an online workshop to improve ways of writing business reports, emails, and also instant messages. Okay, so this is very fitting in the time of COVID-19 when we are reliant on text communication. Okay. Finally, let's look at our Viber community. For those who are asking, John, how do I join your online contests? Well, it's very simple. Please join our Viber community. That's the QR code. Again, you can scan it. If you cannot scan it, look at the link bit.ly/JY And in order for you to join our contest, you have to submit your answers by opening the window chat, the chat window for our Viber admin. Click the three circles when you enter the Viber community. Click community info, and finally click super admin. That's going to be me. I will have visibility into your responses. Fastest fingers are going to win. Okay? I'm excited. Let's get to business. Please prepare to engage in the following activities spread across the session. Keep the chat box as noisy as much as you can. I'm only dependent on the energy you give to me. Number 2, participate in the polls. And number 3, this is a technical webinar after all, so please feel free to crowdsource the responses by sharing it with us. We'll display it on screen. We'll let the other participants also type their responses on the chat box. Finally, if you have any questions that you are shy to ask in this session, you can send me an email instead, jonathanyabut@jycvasia.com, or you can visit our website, jonathanyabut.com. Okay? So if you guys are ready, let's start. Today's agenda will be raising 3 career issues about visibility, and we're going to be sharing some tips and considerations. So let's start with this one. This is Frida from Kuala Lumpur, and Frida's question is this: John, my manager always ends her meetings with, if you have any questions, let me know. Okay? I also say that to my team every time I conduct a meeting with them. But every time I ask Jonathan, she replies only by end of the day around 5 to 6 p.m. I know she's busy, but I wish I can get guidance earlier in the day. How can I raise this to my manager? So, Frida, what you're actually saying is you're asking me, how can I be frank and straightforward to my manager and tell her, hey, please reply to my emails and to my questions earlier so I can act on them, because 5 to 6 p.m. is too late. Yes? That's what Frida is trying to say in this case. So, before I answer this, let's ask our participants first in this webinar. If you were in the position of Frida, what would you do with this manager? Letter A, would you confront and ask her to reply? Letter B, give it more time. Maybe she's just busy lately. Letter C, be more repetitive with your questions by asking it again every hour or every 3 hours. Perhaps she's only missing them out. So let's wait for your question, for your responses here. What would you do if you were this person? Would you confront? Would you give her more allowance? Maybe next month she will change. So I'm gonna let her slip. Or letter C, I'm gonna be more persistent. So Mista says letter C. Okay, be more repetitive with your questions and she may just be missing them out. I'm looking at the chat box. We have a good mix of answers. Some people are giving me letter C, letter B. So if I were to personally respond to this, if it's something so important, never be afraid to ask about it, because at the end of the day, your projects are your manager's projects. Your success is also her success. She will appreciate actually if you ask her again, because maybe if she's not prompted, she's not going to act on it. So I would confront her if it's something urgent. But if it's something that I can do on my own because I have not exhausted yet all means, then I will give it more time. I will find ways to answer it first on my own. By the way, that's the reason why you were hired, because you were there to support the needs of the team. So some considerations. Number 1, probe. If you think that this is something that your manager is doing to the rest of the team, then it's a sign that your manager is indeed very busy. It might be important to call her out. However, ask yourself, are you the only one who's experiencing this? Sometimes you want to ask your teammates, hey guys, I notice our manager is only responding after lunch or after dinner time. Are you experiencing the same thing? Right? If you're experiencing the same thing, then don't take it personally. It means that your manager just happens to be really busy. So I would go to proposal letter C, and that is I will repeat my question. Sometimes, by the way, sending an SMS is not enough. It will be buried in her inbox. So, what's the best way to do it? Call her up. A call is always a sign of urgency. So, that's what I would do instead. Okay. Number two, if you're really going to confront your manager, use the formula appreciate and then explain. Okay. I'm going to repeat. Could you please type it in the chat box for some commitment? Appreciate and then explain. Right? So example of that would be, I appreciate, my dear boss, that when you said you'll be available, you'll be able to answer my questions. However, I have a project that needs immediate attention. Can I ask blank, blank, and blank? Why is it important to use this formula? So you can use appreciate versus explain or recall versus explain. It's important because you want to hold your manager accountable to her promise without sounding too demanding. You also are appreciating that she acknowledges that you need the attention that you are asking for because you need some guidance in this case. Okay? So appreciate, then explain. That's your formula when you need to confront. Right? Number three. Okay? Sorry, this is number three, not number two. When you need to explain and you decide to explain, focus on the objective part. Focus on how it's challenging your job. Don't make it look like it's emotional and personal. So avoid using statements like, I feel abandoned, I feel lack of support, I feel like no one's there to help me anymore. So you want to be more mature and professional in your responses. And one way to do that is not to focus the discussion on you. Focus the discussion on the project and for the company. So say something like, when I need help on project X, I will appreciate if I can get that guidance immediately so that the project doesn't need to be delayed, so that the project will be turned over to the next team immediately. Okay? Can I get an exclamation mark? Do you see the difference with that? This way, you don't sound like your candy was stolen and you're trying to sound it off to someone like a kid. Okay? Remember that emotional maturity is something that is so important, especially in remote communication. Everyone is already stressed. Everyone is already exhausted. Okay? And putting emotional tone into your statements will not help. Okay? After all, if your manager is really busy, do you think you're the only one who's being abandoned? It could be the rest of the team because there's just so many things that need to be accomplished as well. Okay? All right, let's proceed to the next part. Thank you for your exclamation marks. And please give us more exclamation marks if you're learning something so far. Okay. Before I go to step number two, to our letter number two, let's give away our prizes now. Let's advance that at very start. So let's give away our books. And this time, I will give away all 3 copies in digital formats to our lucky winners. Okay? This is in celebration of our 9/9 Super Sale. Until tomorrow, September 16, you buy all 3 books for only $599, and you also get 1 free ticket worth $499. So that's a steal. You get all the free books, but you also get access to our premium webinar. Okay? So what will I do? I'm going to call out now one random audience member who has shared this webinar on their screen. Okay? If you guys are ready, I'm giving you some time now. Please try to share this webinar on your newsfeed. Okay? If you're on LinkedIn or if you're on Facebook, that doesn't matter as long as you share it on your Facebook feed. If you guys are ready, let me call out now our winner. Our winner, ladies and gentlemen, the name is Evelyn Rosales Katapang. Congratulations. Right? Evelyn Rosales Katapang. Evelyn, your victory is not the ticket. Your victory are the 3 books, right? So you will get all the copies of our digital formats, Fast Forward, From Grit to Great, and also Single, Taken, or Building My Empire. Okay? Congratulations, Evelyn. How do you get your prize? Send me an email, jonathanyabut@gmail.com, and we will make sure that we will send your digital copies. Congratulations. Thank you. Let's go to question number 2. This is from Jonas of Cebu City. So Jonas is asking, John, I'm an introvert, and it's hard for me to grab the microphone during virtual meetings when there are more than 10 of us. I wish I can raise my ideas, but most members of my group always get the attention first. How do I improve my visibility? Help. Okay. Now, this seems to be a very common problem these days. You know, when you have lots of extroverted colleagues and you're the only ones who not keen on getting the mic or always drowned in a sea of voices. How do you manage your visibility? So I want to first ask the participants, if you were this person, if you were, may I ask what's the name? Jonas. Sorry, Jonas, I missed your name. If you were Jonas, type in the chat box, how do you claim your space in a virtual meeting when other people are also taking? Could you please share? Let's crowdsource. What are the best practices that you've done in the past? Could you please share? I'd love to see that. So there are many ways to claim your space. Of course, I hope you don't mute everyone and then unmute yourself. We've shared this last time. You don't need to talk on the microphone. Sometimes you can be heard by typing something in the chat box. Right? That's one way. And sometimes chat box can be visible because people are looking at the chat box. Or say something like, "Hi team, can I say something also over the microphone?" Say that first in the chat box so that people can give you the airtime. Okay? For it. Ooh, here's one more. So this one's a given, but in case you're not familiar with it, thank you for sharing it. So Donna says, chat or raise your hand. Raising your hand virtually in Microsoft Teams or Zoom also works. That's right. Okay. You know what another technique I would do? I would personally message the host, privately message the host, call their attention and say, I'd like to share something, but other people are still speaking. Can you please put me in the queue? So that this time, you will be the one prompted by the host to be able to speak up. Can I get an exclamation mark if that works? Okay. Remember, the host is the one who's in control of the entire meeting. So get the attention of the host rather than competing for voice or for loudness at the end of the day. Okay, thank you. Here are a few more considerations for our participants watching this. So number 1, is this the only way to make your voice heard? So I get it, real-time feedback is important. But sometimes if you want to be heard and if it's not an issue of being urgent, you can instead speak to the other people offline. So after the meeting, you can call them out and say, hey, Jonathan, I wish I said this earlier, but I wasn't able to get in and sneak into the conversation. But can I ask one thing? Can I blank, blank, and blank? So you can still be heard. And perhaps it's even better because you can have exclusive airtime with this person, right? So number 2, there must be space to speak up in a virtual meeting, even when there's 10 of you. Sometimes you might want to ask yourself, is the reason why you cannot speak up is because you are holding back, that if you turn on your microphone and speak up, people might think that you are too aggressive or demanding, right? Sometimes it's just a matter of being brave and saying, I know that people might judge me, but I will not care because I need to say it. Or more importantly, do you really think people are judging? Do you really think that people are gonna say that you're too demanding on the mic? Maybe not. Everyone's doing the same thing. So don't take it personally as well. Sometimes your shyness is the ones that's keeping you from speaking up. Okay? In this case. Okay? Ooh, I love this statement from Ricardo. Ricardo says, there is always an opportunity for everyone to speak up. Don't move on to another topic unless your voice has been heard. So I'm going to call out the hosts. One good way to make sure that everyone speaks up in a meeting is don't end the topic immediately. Before you end, say something like, before I move on to the next topic, can I do a last call? Is there anyone else in the room who wants to share their thoughts? That way, you're allowing people who are not able to speak up to say their thoughts, right? And not be left behind as well. Thank you, Ricardo, for sharing that as well. Okay. The third thing, so I mentioned this already a while ago, manage this offline with someone in your team. Okay. Another tactic that you can, if you're still a newbie in the team, okay, you're still a newbie, You don't know everyone yet in the team. You don't want to look like you're fronting yourself too much. My tactic would be before the meeting, I will call out one of my closest colleagues in the meeting and say, "Hey, Joanna, can I ask a favor? Later on, during the meeting, I find it hard and I struggle sometimes to speak up because I'm concerned that I'm speaking out too loud. Is it okay that you become my prompt?" When I say you become my prompt, meaning after you say something, you prompt that I'd like to share something as well. So, for example, when Joanna speaks and Joanna ends her thoughts, Joanna will say, "All right, those are my opinions. Anyone else who wants to share? Jonathan, by the way, you were saying something to me a while ago." So that's a prompt, that's a bridge that you agreed with Joanna so that she gives and passes on the baton to you. Sometimes that helps, but you need to coordinate that with Joanna prior to the meeting. Okay? When you already establish your presence, then in the future, you don't need to do that anymore. But it does help. Okay? Can I get an exclamation mark? Do you notice it's a big part of it is managing the politics, right? Oh, thank you also to Nick for sharing this. So Nick says, don't be afraid to interrupt. You can start with, "Hey, I have a quick suggestion or a thought." Keep your tone friendly and cheerful. Very good. This is just me because it works for me. It may not work for anyone, but my favorite way to interrupt is I will always say in the microphone, "Hey team, time out. Can I ask something?" So it gets the attention of others. Right? Another way to interrupt is to affirm what the other last person said. So say something like, agree. Agree with what you said, Mark. Agree. Can I also add? And then you share what you need to say. Okay? Does that work? So affirming someone is like bridging yourself, right? So it's like, if I were to make a metaphor about it, you know those relays in marathon where you have to pass on the baton to someone? They haven't yet passed on to you, but you're already running because you're preparing for the person to hand it over to you. It's like that. So when you say, agree with that. So you're affirming someone, but you also want to explain why you are agreeing with that person. So that's the politics behind it. Right? Oh, I love this. Thank you. I never thought of this, but now this is a very good way of sharing it. Let me call out, let me just wait for, who was the person who said that? Rachel says, "Say thank you to the most recent sharer, then give your thoughts to." That's a good way. So say something like, "Thank you for raising that," right? And then you share your thoughts. Okay. Bernadette from LinkedIn also says the same thing. Acknowledge the statement of the last speaker, then share your thoughts. So it's an easy way to insert yourself into the conversation. Very good. Thank you guys for crowdsourcing your responses. Can I get an exclamation mark? Are we learning something so far? I hope we are. Thank you. Very good. Before we proceed, I'd like to invite everyone. So we have today how to manage your visibility at work while working from home. That's part 2. Next week, we're going to have some more topics. We're going to be announcing them in our Facebook page. So please stay tuned for that. Take note that we have one webinar per week. And if you'd like to scan or watch the past webinars, you see that QR code right in front of your screen. You can watch all of our webinars there on our Facebook page. Okay. If you happen to miss part 1 of this topic, you can also scan the QR code or copy the link into your browser. All right. Let's go to the last question. This is from Kay from Manila. Kay says, "John, I am a believer that visibility means letting your manager know about your achievements because there are moments when they're just too busy to notice." Good thing that you acknowledge that. Your managers and bosses are just human beings. They cannot give you all their attention. They also have their families. They also have their own careers. They have their battles that they have to challenge and contend with in the time of COVID-19. So here's a question from Kay. "Recently, I've struck a milestone for my project and my teammates and I are discussing it on email. We are 9 people in the team and we are all celebrating. Should I loop in my boss in that email thread? Or how should I instead let her know?" Tricky, tricky, tricky. I love this question because it's crossing the lines of theater and authenticity. Are you looping in your manager because you're simply joyful about it? Or are you looping in your manager because you want her to know it, because likely she will not know about it until you nudge her, right? So I want to ask the participants. I'm going to pass this first to you. Would you loop in your boss in the email thread if you want her to know about this situation? Would you? Could you please type your response in the chat box? I would love to know. So give me a letter Y for yes, give me an N for no. Would you loop in just so that your manager knows about your achievements? Will there be any harm if you loop her in? Will she take it differently if you loop her in? Right? So I'm looking at the chat box right now. We got a mix of answers. Some people are typing no. Some people are typing yes. Okay, that's cool. So Ronan says, do not loop her in the email, send a separate email. Okay, thank you for sharing those thoughts. So here are some considerations to consider. Sorry, that's redundant. Here are some considerations, right? Sorry, guys, this is my third webinar. I've done a 3-hour webinar in the morning and 4-hour webinar. So I'm really, and I need to run after this to unwind. So some considerations. Number one, and I agree with Ronan, is this the only way to inform your manager? If your objective is to make sure that she knows what you've done, do you really have to loop her in the email? Can you do it separately? Forward the email instead to your manager separately. Take a screenshot of the photo of the email and then send it to your manager via WhatsApp or via Viber. That can also be a workable account, right? Number two, why was your boss not looped in the email in the first place? There must be a reason. She was not looped in because she's not part of the community. The community is a safe space for associates like you who want to have a level of freedom of what they want to talk about without being overseen by the directors or superiors. So it might not be a good move to loop her in, because if that's the case, the other people in the email thread are going to ask you, John, why did you loop in a leader? Why did you loop in a manager? We want to be the ones to be in the email thread because, we want to talk about things that we don't want them to know, right? So be careful about that, okay? Number three, and this is where it matters now, what will be the effect of looping in your manager moving forward? Are you telling me now that she needs to be visible in all of the projects? What if you loop her out? Can you do that as well? You can, right? But you don't want her to be able to read your past conversations. And perhaps the other team members in the email thread don't want her to read those conversations. Those are discrete conversations between the group. Okay? So if your issue is just about achieving visibility, you don't need to loop her in. Send it in a different way. Forward the email. Or if you simply want to say it as it is, right? If you're in the office already, tell her and say, hey, just want to let you know our project is XYZ. I'm so happy and I want to thank you for being my mentor for it, right? One way to subtly, and here's where the theater is important. In order for you to share your achievements with someone, is to do the formula, celebrate the achievement, and thank the person. Okay? Could you please type it in the chat box for commitment? Celebrate the achievement and thank the person. Why? When you celebrate the achievement, the focus is on you, and that may be too selfish. But when you celebrate the achievement and you focus by thanking the other person, you're sending them a message, yes, I've achieved it, but this is not because of my sole expertise and efforts. It was also because of you. So I am thank you for it. Okay? Trying to look at the chat box right now for... So Rich Francisco says, very good point. Your teammates might feel awkward. I mean, come on, guys. Don't you have those email threads wherein it's just you and your friends? You don't want to include your parents. Of course. Same thing happens also at work. Okay, in this case. Communicate with intent, says Francis. Thank you for also adding that. When I say communicate with intent, your manager is smart. She knows that when you're telling her the achievement, you are telling her to take note of what you have accomplished, right? She's not stupid. She knows what your intentions are. So if you already have those intentions laid out, don't stop with celebrating about yourself. Thank her for it. Okay? You're reinforcing her to do the same thing in the future as well. Okay? Beatriz from LinkedIn also says, yes, it's a team celebration. He or she is part of the team. Okay. All right. I hope we learned something for today. You see how a big part of visibility is politics. Politics is not something that you avoid, neither something that you hate. It's something that you embrace. It's part of the situation, it's part of the system. Everyone has their own selfish thoughts. When I say selfish, not in a sense that they don't care about you, it's about the idea that by default we tend to look after ourselves first, right? Some people are going to be selfless. I get that. But you also have to be considerate that you are not the center of the universe. So visibility is finding ways to get the attention of other people and let them know that you're in it to win it. Okay? Okay. As we end, can I get an exclamation mark in the chat box? I hope we learned something today. Did we improve our perceptions about visibility? Did we improve our ability to speak up and to find ways on how to maneuver our tactics at work, even if it's virtual? Okay, very good. So I'm going to open the floor now for a quick Q&A. I'd like to invite our gladiators and suits. Please, I'll give you a few seconds for this. Type your questions now and we'll be very happy to answer them. Okay? If you don't have any questions, let me proceed now to our game. So for those who need to type, just go and type that. We'll read that later on. But let me give away now 2 tickets for our upcoming webinar on October 2. That's a month from now. Email etiquette and business writing. It's an online workshop to improve ways of writing business reports, emails, and instant messages. Okay? If you guys are ready, what are we going to do? We are going to randomly choose 2 audience members who will be chosen to win 1 ticket. Take note, we can only call you out if you have shared this webinar on your Facebook or LinkedIn feed. Okay? If you guys are ready, I hope you are. Let's call out now the winners. My winners, ladies and gentlemen, let's call out the first winner of the ticket. The name is Mark Mortera. Congratulations, Mark Mortera. My second winner, ladies and gentlemen, the name is Melanie Dating Ginoo. Congratulations, Melanie Dating Ginoo. So in order for you to claim your prizes, please send us an email, jonathanyabut@gmail.com, or maybe more convenient for you, look at the scrolling marquee below. You see that? So what you need to do is copy the link, go to the browser, go to your internet browser, and leave your email details. Okay, let's give another exclamation mark to our winners. Congratulations to Mark and also to Melanie. So that's email etiquette and business writing happening on October 2. If you happen to be interested to attend, just go to our website, jonathanyabut.com/webinars. The early bird rate until September 25 is only 499 pesos per person. And if you want to avail of the discounts, we have a group promo, 3+1 for free and 8+3 also for free. Okay. I don't have any questions so far. So if you don't have any questions, I think I'll be very happy to retire now for the day because I want to do some running for my physical and mental health. I'm going to be running in a while, right? So I'm going to leaving you behind with our QR code. Please scan the QR code if you'd like to watch our past webinars, more than 100 of them, which we started since the start of COVID-19. And you can also claim your optional certificate for this webinar. You can scan the QR code or also copy the link. Okay? Give me a letter C if you feel more confident after this session. Give me a letter P if you feel more powerful also after this session. Very good. Thank you. So please enjoy your weekend. It's a Wednesday. We got 2 more days to go. I hope you stay safe. Take care of someone that you love and continue being critical with your environment. Stay safe, guys. Bye.